I ain't in the mood for ham and eggs, buttermilk pancakes just go to my head. I ain't in the mood for hominy grit, but there's one way to a blues man's heart, and it's give me cornbread. Give me cornbread. Give me big ol' hunk of cornbread, butter that baby up. I ain't in the mood for rice and beans, barbecue pork ribs or collard greens. No fried chicken, no mac and cheese, but there's only one thing you can give me, please. Give me cornbread. Give me cornbread. Give me big ol' hunk of cornbread and butter that baby up. All right. Slice. I ain't in the mood for cookies and cake, but I can smell the only thing I want you to bake. Give me cornbread. Give me cornbread. Give me big ol' hunk of cornbread and butter that baby up. Give me cornbread. Give me cornbread. Give me cornbread. Give me cornbread. Give me a big ol' hunk of cornbread. Butter that baby up.
Oh, I love that sweet harmonica stuff. Thank you, Mr. Vin Mott. Speaking of harmonica, not stuff, but blues at its finest. We were just chatting offline. Welcome to the Hoomagoo tonight. Thank you, Vin.
Thank you for having me.
I love it. The history. We were just out, like I was mentioning to him before he came on the show. Vin Mott, he loves to play harmonica. Featured in his blues. That's the old Americana sound. But, you know, that's an instrument that goes way back to China with the bamboo reeds and all that good stuff. And I love that history, and I like to try to check out some background on the guest. And we were chatting about how that cool in the Richter scale. Isn't that what you're mentioning to me, how it's all tuned and stuff like that?
Richter tuning. Well, you said who he was the first one to, invent, put a harmonica together?
Yeah. In 1825, he invented the instrument that became the modern harmonica. The instrument had 10 holes and 2 reed plates. So that way, because they actually had an early one they did, but it was like just one way sound, should I say, not in and out. So
Sure. Well, I was just saying that makes sense that it was a guy named Richter because they call it Richter tuning for the diatonic harmonicas. When you buy them out of the box, they come in that what's called Richter tuning. So that makes sense that there was actually a guy named Richter.
I love it. I love it. And I was mentioning to you, that instrument is such Americana. The cowboys and the Civil War, and you're bringing it to life today when you're modern. And we will get into all the Rogue Hunter and all your great CD. But tell us a little about your background and how you got in tune, because it's an instrument that actually I remember getting as a student when we were young in music class. We all kind of had one.
Sure. Yeah. So, I would say somewhere in high school between like my sophomore and junior year, I started listening to blues. I think Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf were the first two blues artists I had ever heard, just because I thought their names were kind of funny. And I had a buddy of mine who I was in a band with. We were in like an indie rock band, but he started floating these two names out. And I was doing kind of the harmonica thing on on the rack, playing an acoustic guitar, kind of a la Bob Dylan style when I first started playing it. And then, through listening to Muddy and Howlin' Wolf, my mother every year used to buy me and my brother CDs for Christmas from the CD store. Whatever our flavor of the month was, she would ask the guy what was new in that or what was popular or whatever. And so this particular Christmas, I opened up 3 CDs that changed my life. It was Little Walters, like Best of Chess compilation, Paul Butterfield's East and West, and William Clark's Blowin' Like Hell. And that was the beginning of what I call the sickness of playing the harmonica.
And that's like an open palette for you. I mean, and again, the way that you, and I love to ask these questions. I almost call it an amateur because I'm just a fan. I wish I could be a musician, but it's the way you hold it. Is it not true? All of that comes from. Go ahead.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. So yeah, there's a lot more to it than just blowing into it.
Yeah.
There's hand techniques and embouchure, just like you'd be playing a trumpet or a flute or a saxophone. There are certain positions that, in your mouth that make all the difference in the sound and the ease of playing and all that. Breathing techniques like you're a singer, but not only does it go out, it comes in as well, Mm-hmm. So, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye.
Oh, yeah, the professionals, you guys are just amazing. And again, just like you mentioned, the pressure of how you're blowing and coming back and forth in the tuning, it's very much like the big-time guitarists, Keith Richards or whatever. They all have their Eric Clapton, Pete. You hear them. You know who they are. One riff. And I imagine that's what you guys are playing for. On the open end of the harmonica, and just now they call that the mouth harp. Is that the old school term for that too?
Yeah, there's a lot of funny names for it. There's the mouth harp, the mouth organ, the Mississippi saxophone, the tin sandwich, the tin whistle. There's all sorts of names I've heard it called. Blues harp, the mouth harp.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, let's get to one of your tracks right now. Let's chat a little about Car Troubles, maybe a good blues singer. Anything you want to talk about quickly before I run with that one on there?
I'll give you my spiel I give on stage. It's based on many true stories, and I'm sure some of the people out there can relate to it.
I love it. Here we go, Mr. Vin Mott. Thank you. Peace.
Every place I go, people wanna ask me, they always wanna know how I got the blues, 'cause I'm only 28. With a death in the family, over girlfriend I hate. I tell them straight up in the stone cold singer. God, troubles made me a good blues singer. Been broke all my life, always had me a lemon. Every car I owned ended up in auto heaven. One time it was the brakes, next time the transmission. Only July is for the blues musician. When maintenance required, I know I'm a winner. God, troubles made me a good blues singer.
All right, thank you. Oh, cool. Thank you, everybody. We are rapping, and the tune is over. Car Troubles made me a good blues singer. Thanks, Vin Mott, here at the Who Magoo. Thanks, Vin. Welcome aboard again.
Thank you, man.
We're just talking about old school tunes and some of them old blues tunes that today it just is off limits, and we can't. Oh my God, it's because it is life and it's a story. And everybody has a story, and the stories back then are a little bit hardcore to play. And because Rogue Hunter's coming on and has maybe a naughty word starting off, and that's kind of what we were talking about. How blues and life and everything has changed, with music. And Vin, let's update a little bit now about your band and all your friends and all you got going with this awesome CD, Rogue Hunter, and of course it's more than harmonica, blues, and everything you got going today. So go ahead, my friend.
Of course. Yeah, man. Yeah, so the band I used on the record is the same band I'm using currently live in my local area here in New Jersey. So the guitar player is Mr. Dean Schott. And Dean Schott, if you don't know him, he runs a band as well called Dean Schott and the Solid Senders. And the two of us have a Howlin' Wolf project that we do as well. Dean is probably the most up-and-coming traditional blues guitar player from my area. He's fantastic. He studied, he was lucky enough to be mentored by the great Hubert Sumlin from the Howlin' Wolf band back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And he's also one of my best, he's one of my best friends and someone I look up to as a mentor. And I was really happy to have him on this record playing guitar this time. My last record, he was playing bass, but he's really a guitar player. So I was glad to finally get him playing guitar.